So, hello and good evening, everybody. This is the monthly or basically monthly live stream of the University of Paderborn or Paderborn University's Study Service Computer Science. So this is a live stream we do basically every month on the third Thursday usually, and it will be also in 4 weeks from now, should be 4 weeks from now, again on the third Thursday in February. In March we will have no live stream, so that's important to keep in mind if you're watching this after the fact and you find out that you would have liked to ask some questions or something like that. Then in February will be your last chance before the summer semester starts. Hello and welcome. And master program in computer science is the topic for tonight. We also have another live stream which is directed towards the bachelor program. So if you're a German student and wish to start in the bachelor program here with us, or an international student but speak enough German to start in the bachelor program with us, then you might as well join the other program, which is usually on the first Thursday each month at 6 p.m., same time always. But this one is just directed towards the master program, and we've just sent out emails to all the people who have been accepted for the summer semester, at least so far as the applications have reached us, and we have had the chance to review the applications, and there's quite a few of applications that we have accepted. So and I can see that there's quite a few of you out there, and two are already saying Guten Abend. So I see your German is very, very good, almost perfect German. But I'll continue in English if that's okay with you. And of course, everybody of you is welcome to just say hello and maybe add from where you are. Always keep in mind everything is public here and will remain public after the fact. So we record everything. Everything will be published on YouTube afterwards. So if you don't want to say anything in the chat here, that's okay as well, of course. But if you like, you can always just post something there, as long as it's decent stuff, of course. Then everything should be okay. So and in particular, as I said, just if you wish, you can just tell us from where you're from, which country, probably, or whatever you would like to tell us, of course, and that should be visible in the chat somewhere over there or over there. I never can remember on which side the chat is, but that doesn't really matter, I think. And of course, you are welcome to ask any of your questions in the chat here as well. I will try to address all of them as far as I can answer them. And if I can't answer them, I'll give you some pointers to where you might find the answers, because I'm not an expert in everything. I'm just here for the computer science department. So basically, what I can tell you about is our computer science program, not the computer engineering program, which is a different program. But if you have questions towards that, then of course you can ask questions as well, and I can tell you where to go to in that case. As we've sent out this quite long email to all of you, or to everybody who has been accepted at least. There might be other people out there watching this. Then, of course, you have already read that there's certain questions that you should rather address to the international office. But again, if you just ask them here, it doesn't hurt. And I will tell you then, if I can't answer them, I can tell you who can answer them. So just keep your questions coming, and as long as there are no questions, then I will just keep on babbling and tell you things that might be of interest to you. Some of the things I've already written in my email, but maybe we can add some additional information here, and maybe you have some questions regarding the email that I sent and everything. As I said, just keep the questions coming. All right, so I'm figuring out everything here. So we've got quite a few people here saying Guten Abend, hello, hello, and hello again. And once more, hello to the rockstar reporter out there. And finally, another hello and Guten Abend. Right. We try to give you some information, because we know that, of course, it is all these processes take a lot of time, and you're certainly more experienced in those in that fact than I am. But we know that people often have problems because the process of getting the visa and everything, you need the official letters from us in order to get the visa, and then the visa processing is slow and everything. We're trying our best to speed up all the processes, which is also why there's quite a lot of people still who have applied for the master program and who haven't received any reply from us yet, because we try to notify all of you who have been accepted or will be accepted for the summer semester first, and everyone who is still waiting is probably either not processed yet, or in the most cases has been processed, but the email notification has not gone out yet that you probably have not been accepted. So if you are still unsure whether you have been accepted or not, you can send us a short email and we will answer that quickly. But the official notifications, whether if you have not been accepted, they will take some time, because we had so many applications. It was a record number this year. We never had so many applications for a summer semester, at least. We had two winter semesters already, which had even more applications, and we had more than around 520 applications just for computer science, and more than 250, I believe, for computer engineering. And so that it's quite a bit of work. And of course, everybody needs to. Everybody has the right to get a decent review of the application. So it just takes us some time. So sorry if things are slow, but we are trying our best to do it as quickly as possible. Speaking of quickly as possible, I hope that most of you have already, there are some who have very recently only been reviewed, so for those people it will probably still take some time until they receive the formal notification, which is not sent by us. With my email is just an informal notification so that you know that you can plan ahead. But the official notification will come through the international office. They will send that to you, and I'll go through the process and what's coming up next. I've already mentioned a lot of those things in my email, but all the rest we can talk about here. So I'll try to explain that in more detail, and if there are any questions, as I said, just keep the questions coming. There is already one question, and you would like to take up a German language course as well, along with your usual studies at the university. Would you recommend doing so from the get-go, or should I wait for a semester or more? You can do it immediately. Personally, I would even recommend doing it starting this as early as possible. As you know, you are not required to do any German language courses, but I think it is very helpful, in particular if you are considering getting a job at some time in the future here in Germany. Many companies, and the university in particular, at the university we also have quite a lot of student jobs available, and at the university in particular everybody will speak English, but sometimes we also have projects which are with outsiders, people outside the university, and in that case German language knowledge might at least be helpful, I think, and in particular if you're working in a company outside the university. Of course, again, all the people from computer science, they will all be quite fluent in English, but you will also have to deal, of course, with other people who might not be that high of an education standard, and who might not be that fluent in German. In English. In German they should be, and that's why I would suggest, and it's always a good, I think, a sign of goodwill in a way, if you speak at least a little bit of German. So I think it is a good idea to start German as early as possible. However, I would recommend watching out during the semester. Watch yourself whether you can keep up with the German as well as with your computer science subjects, and then you need to decide at some point if you find out that the work is too much, and we will come to that a little in a moment. Then you might consider dropping either a computer science subject or the German course, and then it's your decision which one you would rather drop first. So, but I can't give any general rules for that. It's just something that you need to decide. But personally, I would recommend starting with the German language course, and just if you find out it's too much work for you, and you think you can't cope with a workload that you try to manage, in that case, I would say stop taking either a computer science subject or the German language course. From when can you select or see the modules that you're going to study in in the master's program? That's a very good question. The course catalog will be available soon. I will mention the course catalog and how you find the courses. I already mentioned that in the email. Some things have already changed because I mentioned there are some entries in German language only that has already been fixed. So it's now everything should now be available in English, even the menu items in between that you need to choose or to select from. And that should be available in about 2 weeks' time, I would say. And I will address the topic of choosing subjects for the summer semester further on in this talk. You don't need to worry too much about that. That's the important news is just take a look at the catalog, but don't plan too much ahead, because we will give you lots of information in the welcome days at the beginning of April, and that's when you should try to be here, and I would strongly recommend being here by that time. And then there's still time enough to get into all those courses, because there's no limit on the number of people we allow into courses. In the master program, we usually don't have any problems, so we don't have hundreds of students. Sometimes we have 100 or 150 students even in one master course. That might happen if it's a particularly popular course. But even then, there's no restriction in numbers. So all of the modules, all of the courses will still be available to you, even when you are here in early April. But by the time of early April, and as I said, we will give you lots of recommendations in the first week, but we'll talk about the choosing courses in a moment. But you don't have to technically do anything, and you really don't have to make up your mind. What I would recommend is browsing through the course catalog and checking which courses sound interesting to you. And then we have this module handbook available. I don't know if you've already found that, but I can tell you where to find it, of course. And I don't remember if I mentioned it in the email. I think I didn't. And in the module handbook, you find more detailed descriptions where there's not just the title of the course, but also a more detailed description of what the content of the course will be like. And then personally, I would always recommend for the first semester, just pick courses that sound interesting to you. Whatever sounds good, and you say, well, that's a subject I would really like to study, then pick, that's a good candidate. And as I said, you can only choose the courses once you are officially a student of the university. So you can't choose pick any courses or subjects before 1st of April, basically. And on the 2nd and 3rd of April, we will come to that later on again. We will have the welcome days, and that's the time when we should really start planning. And then we will be available there. I personally will be there, but also colleagues of mine will be there, and also our mentor, who's a student from a higher semester. I mentioned her already in the email as well. So we will all be around, and there will be other students from higher semesters, and so you can talk to other people and get some hints and tips which courses are good and which courses you might consider not taking, and so on and so forth. So yeah, as I said, just browse through the catalog, but don't worry too much about picking courses yet. Hi again. You heard that there's no faculty for the machine learning subject in the syllabus. What alternatives is Paderborn Uni offering, and which modules will cover this subject? We'll come to that in a moment as well. I'll give you a list of the subjects that are in our course catalog. We hope to have machine learning again. There are more specialized courses. There's no general introduction to machine learning course, but there are special courses available which are closely related, or which are part of do machine learning, but there are more specialized ones. Like we have a machine learning course for biometrics, for example, which is very special, but there's no general course introduction to machine learning or something like that for the time being, at least. We hope to hire a new professor who will give that course, but currently, unfortunately, there is none here. But there are other subjects closely related to that. We call those focus areas, and the focus area we teach machine learning in would be the focus area of data science and intelligent systems. And I can give you a listing of the modules, the courses which will be potentially be available, and only part of them will be available in the upcoming summer semester. I haven't made a complete list of the courses which will be available in the summer semester, but you'll see that in the course catalog once that is public. Can you transfer the semester fees before February 10th? The email mentioned that due to administrative reasons, we should not pay before this date. Could you please clarify? Sorry, this is one of the questions I really can't answer. I would really ask you to contact the international office. I gave the address to the contact page of the international office in my email. And if you browse through that, it's a little bit strange that you can't click on the names for the email, but in this long table with all the contact people from the international office, there's one name which is Matthias Funayama Thorsen, and to the right of that there's something like email registration or something like that. It's not really a registration; it's the email contact. So you can simply click on that link, and then you'll have opened an email window in your email client, a window where you can ask you questions, send your questions to Mr. Thorsen, and he is really the expert in all of these things. There is also a second person, which was until now Mr. Murugan Juro, but as you can see on the website of the international office, he is no longer listed there because he's retiring. And there is a new person, but the new person, who is Mrs. Me, she is not yet listed on that website. So in the future there will be another person, Mrs. Me, who you can also contact. But for the time being, I would recommend contacting Mr. Thorsen, and he should be or there is an email address given on the acceptance letter that you received, or in the acceptance email. Then of course you can reply to that. Not my email, not my email, but the official one if you have already received it. And then of course you can reply to that email as well, or there should be some contact address given in that email. So there you can ask again. And they should know these things. So basically all of this administrative stuff, from starting with visa, and postponing or deferring your studies for if you don't want to come for the summer semester but only for the winter semester, which is perfectly fine. You can do that if you would like to. That's something you should send to the international office, and everything with university administration, like for example paying fees, etc., is something that you should do with the questions regarding that you should send to the international office, because they really are the experts in that field, and anything I can tell you will probably be wrong, I'm afraid. Sorry for that. The accommodation topic, yes. Accommodation. There's also, if you go to the website of the international office, that's why I sent in the email, there was not just a contact page, but also the international office page was listed in there. And otherwise you'll find it through the contact page, of course, the international office website. And there's also one of those, there's also a link somewhere on finances, which is usually quite interesting for many people, because you probably want to know what the expenses are that you have. As you know, we don't have any real semester fees. There is a small fee, but it's a rather smallish, like 350 euros or something like that, that you have to pay, no 10,000 euros or something, or dollars or something like that. And on that website, you will also find information for regarding accommodation. And there's basically two basic types of accommodation, I would say. And the one is organized by not the university, but what's called the Studierendenwerk, they are called. So it's closely affiliated to the university in some way. It's organizational, it's a different entity, but it's somewhat affiliated to the university, and they have the student dorms. So it's always a good idea to contact them, whether they have any rooms, of course. But on the website of the international office, you will also find a link to some accommodation website where people who offer private accommodation are also listed, and that's the only other address I can really give you. So once again, in those cases, or everything regarding accommodation, I would also recommend contacting the international office, and maybe they have some more tips where you can go to see to find accommodation here in Paderborn. What courses do you teach? I'm teaching just one course, and that is a kind of a brand new course. It has been taught in German so far. It will be a different course in the future. It's very theoretical. It's kind of like non-theoretical theories of computer science. I will mention that when I come to the catalog of courses. I will mention which of those courses is mine. I only have one course in the master program. My other courses are in the bachelor program. So there's only that one course by me, but I'll mention that when we come to the list. As per the latest update, class starts from 7th of April. Yes, that's correct. But in case of any uncertain delay due to the visa process, will university allow some delays in joining university after the actual class start date? Yes, definitely. You can come later. I don't know the exact date, which would be the latest date, but the latest date is, I believe, quite late. I think it's sometime in May. But I would strongly advise against. I would strongly recommend trying to come as early as possible. Whatever you can make, try to be here as early as possible, because the later you arrive, the less good your chances will be to really participate in the classes and or the courses, and then ultimately to be able to pass the exams in the end, because. In many of the courses, we have weekly assignments, and if you miss the first couple of weeks, then and you need a certain amount of grades from all these assignments are graded usually, and they don't count towards your final grade, but you need to reach at least a certain level, like 70% of the points or something, in order to be allowed to take part in the exam. And if you arrive, the later you arrive, the harder, of course, it will be to reach this 70%. So if you miss, like say we have 15 or let's say 14 assignments, for example, and you miss 7 of them, then you would even if you would do the other exams with full points, then you would still only have 50% of the points, of course, and then you would not be allowed to take part in the exam. So the later you arrive, the harder that will, of course, be. And most of our courses, some of our courses are also recorded, but so you would need to contact the individual lecturers of the courses in that case to ask them whether they have recordings or other material. We all have our PDF slides, of course, which you usually can access. So that's all possible. But it's very hard to learn just from the slides, and maybe from the video recordings you can learn a little better. But still, it will be quite hard. And of course, the problem is you'll have to do the assignments. And usually, in most courses, we have assignments that you don't do alone, but you have the assignments in groups. And the assignments usually are designed in a way that they are meant to be solved by a group, which means if you try to do them all alone, then it's a hell lot of work. And that will be very, very hard. So try to be here as soon as possible. And if you can't make it by the 7th of April, of course, as I said, as soon as possible. And once you are here, please do that really. Once you arrive, immediately contact us here at the study service, because then we will because you will have missed the welcome days if you come later than this. In fact, if you come later than the 2nd of April even, you will miss the welcome days. And then, of course, we will do kind of private welcome days for you in those cases, because otherwise you will be lost in the first semester, quite certainly, because things will be different from what you know from your home university, and you're living in a different country. You have to get used to the German university system. There's lots of formalities. It's not that bad, but there are quite a few formalities. And of course, you need to get orientation, like even finding the rooms in the university, for example, isn't that easy. So I would strongly recommend, once you are here, contact us immediately, and then we can set something up and make an appointment with you and help you find your way into the university. So please do that whenever you arrive, and then we can see whenever, as I said, try to be as early as possible. And once you arrive, and you contact us, then we'll see and make an individual plan for you. So there's no general rules, I would say, but then we would try to find and make an individual plan for you, whatever will be possible. You haven't received any updates yet. I will need to check. Please, unfortunately, the bad news in this case is whoever has not received anything yet, unless the application reached us very, very late. You usually I'll get informed by UniAssist once your application has been forwarded to us. And if that date has been before end of December, you should definitely already have your have received a notification, either a formal one or the informal email that I sent yesterday. If you have been accepted. If you have not been, if you didn't receive anything and your email, your application was forwarded to us before 31st of December, so meaning in the last year, then you will probably not have been accepted. I would recommend, please send us an email to the study service or to my address, which you find on the study service website, and I'll reply to you as soon as possible. I'll check. I can then check your application and then see what the status is. How stressful would you say the first semester is for us in terms of workload? Does it get better over time or worse? Oh, that depends. That's a very hard question. I think this is probably something that our international students can answer better than I can, because they will probably have had similar experiences as you will have when you arrive here. What we find is that for many, on the one hand, of course, as I already mentioned, you need to get used to living in a different country, living and learning in a different university environment, which is probably different from what you are used to from the university you studied your bachelor. And even and being away from home, that's also very important. It depends very much. Some people are far away from home for the first time in their lives, and this is something which is also psychologically a problem for many students. Not for many students, but for some students at least. And we know that we have people here who really struggle, not just with the workload, but also with being homesick or things like that, which is perfectly normal. This is something people just encounter, and because everything, as I said, everything is different. Your family is far away. Of course, you have the internet and everything. Okay, yeah, but still, they're far away. Your family, your friends. People here might be strange, at least to you. They will seem to be strange, and there's different food. You need to. Maybe you just long for the food you are used to from home, and that's also something which is very important, because food keeps your soul and body and soul together, I think. So that's also a thing. But this is, again, something why the welcome days are so important, because our mentor, she's from India, and she also has had those problems when she came here, at least to a certain amount. And she can also give you good hints on at least on Indian food, and for people from other countries that might still be helpful, even if you're not from India, but from Pakistan or from Iran or from wherever you are. So that's also something to keep in mind. What regarding the workload, of course, also you will find that probably the German style of teaching, and thus also the German style of learning. So what is expected from you, the way to learn, is probably also different from what you are used to in your home country. It depends very much, because again, from applications from all over the world, so everything is different in every country, of course. But what we find very often is that people are not used to that much of having to take care for things to take care of things for themselves, and so basically there's lots of things lots of moments where you will be required to do something and to to show your own initiative. And so if, for example, you have problems in learning in a course and you find that there are certain things that certain knowledge that you lack because there's certain things expected by the lecturer which you didn't have in your bachelor program, then the lecturer won't come to you and tell you that you're lacking something somewhere, but instead it would be your responsibility to go to the lecturer and ask them what you can, if you find this, if you say, well, I haven't any knowledge in that particular field, and then ask the lecturer, can you recommend to me something, a good textbook or something where I can read up on this stuff. And so it's very much that you need to be upfront, to go towards people. And that is also something which many people, many students from other countries find difficult, that it is perfectly not just accepted, but it's perfectly normal that you just talk to even a professor. So all of our professors, they are very normal people. In general, I think, at least, I would say. Some kind of strange, of course, because otherwise you wouldn't be a professor. But no, they are quite normal people. And in particular, they welcome you asking it. So if you ask us, the teaching staff, anybody from the teaching staff, even if it's a professor, if you ask someone something, then that does not reflect badly on you, but quite to the contrary. It is usually seen as a positive sign because it shows that you are interested, that you are trying to do your best. So it's a very different kind of attitude towards questions, I think, than many people seem to be used to from their home countries. I don't know what it's like in your country, but this is something we have experienced or heard from many students, that they are very reluctant to go to someone because they think, well, if I ask a question, then the professor might think badly of me because he thinks there's something that I don't know. No, we know, it is perfectly acceptable that someone doesn't know everything. That's perfectly normal. And in those cases, of course, it's absolutely, and in any case, it's absolutely normal to talk to the tutors, who are the people teaching you in the tutorials that are usually alongside a lecture, and also the professor themselves. So it's a very different attitude than it seems to be in many other countries. So just talk to people, and if you run into any problems, try to tackle those problems as early as possible. And once you've learned that, I think things get much easier. So in that sense, I would say it does get better over time, because you get used to living in Germany, you get used to the German university system, you get used to the styles of teaching that we have in Germany, but in particular at our university, in our institute here. And also you get used to you get into your own habit of working style, and also knowing that you can contact people, that you can ask people, that you can talk to people. And that is particularly true, of course, for us in the study service, because that's what we are here for. The study service is really there for your questions. So if there's any problems, you can always come to us. If you don't know where to go to, you can always come to us. And in those cases where we can't help you, like I said, there are certain things like, for example, visa problems, accommodation things and stuff like that, then we at least know who to send you to. So we won't just leave you alone and say, sorry, we can't help you, but we will then say, okay, in that case, you should rather go to that place or that person and ask them about these things. I will talk about the workload in the first semester as well in a moment when we're talking about the planning for the first semester. All right, since the visa process is to take a significant amount of time, yes, unfortunately that is true for everybody and not just in your situation, I'm afraid. Could you please guide me on the possible steps or actions that can be taken in my case? Yeah, just try to speed up things as good as you can. And of course, I know that many of those things, there's nothing you can do really, because you just have to wait for other people to do things, like the visa issuing authorities, whoever that might be, and so on and so forth. So, of course, yes, I know, but just you just need to have, in certain cases, you just have to wait, unfortunately, but what you can, of course, do is you can check for yourself at what time you expect that you would be here at Paderborn University. And as I said, try to be here as early as you can. So once you receive your visa and can make any kind of travel plans, just make them and try to be here as soon as possible. And once you arrive in Germany, or even before that, you can contact us to tell us when you will be here. And as I said, there is a certain deadline until when you can arrive, but I think that should be sometime in May, so that's really very late. But by that time, you will probably not have much of a chance of passing any courses anymore, because once we're like 5 or 6 weeks into the semester, it will be very, very hard to get into the courses. Not because you can't go there. You can still go there, of course, but you will not be able to learn all the stuff you need to pass the exam at the end. And there will come a point when it might be advisable to defer the start of your studies until October. This is also possible. Just notify the international office if you plan to do that. This is something you need to do if you only can come in June, for example. Then at that point in time, it doesn't make much more sense. Though even then, you might still want to come to Germany already, because in that case, you can kind of stretch things out a little bit, so that by that time you can at least get used to the university, because you can still visit courses. Even if you're not learning that much in the course or can't take the exams, you will still learn something there. But then you can just participate as good as you can, but not write any exams. Don't expect to write any exams, but at least you are already here, and then you can get used to the German university system, to living in Germany, to everything. And once in October, you can then really start and don't have all the struggles that you would have if you just arrived. Like often we have people who just arrive with the start of the semester, and of course then everything is overwhelming for many people, which is, I think, perfectly normal. So you might still consider coming as early as you can. Of course, in that case, you would already probably at least be a student at our university, which basically would mean you kind of lose your first semester, but that isn't that much of a problem. Because you are not restricted. As you know, our master program is 2 years, but there's no point in time when we throw you out of our master program. So it's not that you have to finish the program in 2 years. You don't even have to finish it in 3 or 4 or 5 years. But you can stretch things out, which is particularly helpful for people who have to work a lot, because they need to get the finances. And if you have to work a lot, then of course you can't study full time, although theoretically you are a full-time student. But we, at least here in our state, in the state of North Rhine-Westphalia, we won't tell you after like 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 semesters that you have to leave. So the only people who will do that at some point in time is the Ausländerbehörde. Those are the people here in Germany, the visa issuing authorities here in Germany. They will, at some point in time, they will want to see what your progress is. But they usually are, at least in Paderborn, from what I have learned so far from our students, is that at least at Paderborn they are rather relaxed in that case. So usually they will extend your visa at least until like 12 semesters or something like that, if necessary. As long as they can see there is some progress. If they can see that, well, the student hasn't achieved anything for the last 2 years, then they will be more skeptical. But in other cases, when they see there is continuous progress, then they will usually allow you to stay longer. And so in that case, it does not make that much of a difference if you kind of lose, in that sense, the first semester. Because then with the second semester, you can then kind of start with full throttle, and then you might even be still quite fast, and then even complete your study in then 5 semesters, of course, which is also very, very quick. Insight on the current job market for tech students, including part-time post-graduation opportunities. What are the key challenges? How can students best prepare to secure? Oh, that's a very, very difficult question. currently, the situation is definitely not the best in a job market in general in Germany, and I think in most of Europe, maybe in other parts of the world as well. But for computer science students, it is still pretty good. So if I think it's still one of the computer science students, electrical engineering students, civil engineering students, those are the people who are really in demand in Germany. So in overall, the job market is still quite good for. It's not as good as it used to be, probably, but it is still quite good for students from computer science. This is also true for part-time jobs, especially while you are studying. There's lots of opportunities. As I said, there are jobs at the university. In research projects, for example, student jobs, I mean, in research projects, for example, also in teaching, but that is rather rare because for teaching we usually have students only in the bachelor program, and there you need German language, need to be fluent in German because the bachelor program is in German. But in research projects, usually there's jobs available, and also there's lots of companies, and the university also is cooperating with lots of companies in the area, so you shouldn't have to travel far. And of course, many jobs you can nowadays work from home, which also helps, of course, because you don't have to travel so much. Or have to be away from Paderborn, because that is something that some people also do, but I personally would always recommend trying not to do that, like working like 300 kilometers away and only come part-time for studying here to Paderborn. Then I personally would not recommend doing that. I would rather do it the other way around, try to find a job in the area here, or if it is far away, then try to find a job where you can work remotely, which is often also possible. After you've graduated, again, I know many of our students stay here in Germany, at least for a while, not maybe some permanently, some only for a while. I can't really tell you because I'm kind of losing touch with them once they leave the university, of course. And usually it helps very much, which is also one of the reasons why we're recommending that doing a part-time job while studying, because during that time you will usually also already get into contact because you already work for a company, and then that company, the people there know you, and if you're doing good work there, then once you have graduated, they might offer you a full-time job then. So, or there might be, or even if you apply somewhere else, then of course you can say, yeah, but I already have 2 years of, or 1 year of work experience in that other company here in Germany already, or something like that. So those are all things that really help. I think the key challenges, I'm not really able to say much about that. The best preparation, as I said, would be to try to find a job while studying. And personally, I would also always recommend to try to keep it, to not to work too much. I don't know if I already mentioned it, you can work up to 20 hours per week. But if you do that, then you will certainly not be able to complete your studies in your master program in 2 years. That's almost guaranteed. No, I would say that is guaranteed. You won't be able to do that because the master program is a full-time job, and if you have another 20 hours of work to do, then you basically have a 1.5 times job, like 60 hours, and if you then even have to travel or something like that, then it's almost impossible to do that full-time. So then you would have to scale down the number of courses that you can take, and that would mean that you would definitely take longer than 2 years. So I personally would recommend working like only maybe 10 to 12 hours per week, but of course that depends very much on how much money you are paid and how much money you need. And so that's a little difficult to judge for me. This is something that you need to see once you are here, I think. Usually you can scale up or down those part-time jobs at least a little bit, and so you would need to talk to your employer in that case. And as I said, once you have a part-time job, I think that's the best preparation that you can have for getting a full-time job afterwards. If you don't work at all during your master program, I think it will be much harder to get into a job after you have completed your studies, at least as long as we're talking about a job here in Germany. Is there any strictness in completing a degree within certain years, like within 2 years? I see many people take 2.5 years to more. Then that too, to complete the degree is perfectly fine. Yes, absolutely. As I just mentioned, that's absolutely, the question probably came before I said that. That's absolutely fine. We have, from the university side, there is no upper limit. So in theory, you could study 20 years if you like to, which is not recommended, but in theory you could, at least from the standpoint of the university. So our German students can do that because they don't have limited time to spend in Germany as Germans, but as an international or even European students from other countries in Europe, within the EU, the European Union, can also do that. They can also take as long as they want to. But for everybody who's here on a student visa from outside the European Union, then the local visa authorities, the Ausländerbehörde as they are called, they are the ones who ultimately decide whether they will extend your visa or not. And as I said, they are usually rather relaxed here at Paderborn. From what I hear, it's different in other cities sometimes because there's some kind of leeway, some kind of wiggle room for them to decide. And here in Paderborn, it seems that they are pretty okay with people taking longer because, on the one hand, Paderborn is not that big of a city, which means that we're probably a little more relaxed in that sense. Because there's not so many people living here in the city and not so many people from other countries living here, although we have quite a lot of international students, of course. And also everybody here knows that and it's also something which is, I think, to your advantage because you are studying in a subject which is in demand here in Germany, which is computer science. As I already said, we are in demand of people who are good in computer science, and I think that also contributes. So if you were studying something where everybody in Germany would say, well, you won't get a job here afterwards anyway, in that case, they would probably not be so easy on extending visa. But for computer science students, at least that's from what I hear from other students, that is, they are quite relaxed, and so usually it means that you can study like up to 4 years shouldn't be any problem at all, and even longer than that is often possible. Because, as I said, we sometimes have people who work a lot, and sometimes people just kind of lose sight of their studies because they are working so much, and then they might at some point run into problems because then the visa office will, the Ausländerbehörde will say, the student doesn't seem to be getting on in their studies, so maybe we should not extend the visa. But as I said, that's usually not the case before like 4 years or so that you have studied here. So yeah, it is perfectly fine to take longer than 2 years. Students who got admitted in computer engineering but had done bachelor's in computer science, is it manageable for them to get into it and have good scope or job opportunity after master's? Yes. Job opportunities for computer engineers is basically the same as for computer science, so there's not much of a difference there. They're both in demand, so they are very, very closely related, those two programs. Of course, you have more electrical engineering stuff in the computer engineering program, but apart from that, people are very much in demand. If you're good at any of these things, you have very, very good chances of getting a job here in Germany. And yes, of course. If you have been accepted for the computer engineering program, then at least our colleagues, because I don't have access to the applications for computer engineering. It's a colleague of mine who's doing that. And if he accepted you into the computer engineering program, then at least he believes it is manageable for you to get into the program, because he will have checked and seen that you have a certain background in computer science as well as a certain background in electrical engineering, because that's the two core disciplines, and also a little bit of mathematics, of course. But those are the core requirements you need to have for computer engineering. And if you've been accepted, then at least my colleague thinks you have good chances of graduating there. Because that's something which is sometimes we get asked, why are you so strict with the requirements that you have? But our experience is that we had more relaxed requirements like a couple of years ago, or quite a few years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. And there we've really found that many of the people we accepted into our program really had problems, and some of them really dropped out of the program or things like that. And so we also feel that it is a bit of our responsibility that we also believe that you, of course we can't tell definitely, so there is a chance of not being able to complete the program, of course, but at least we believe that you have good chances of completing the program. Otherwise we wouldn't accept you. And that might seem harsh sometimes, but that's why we always recommend there are alternatives. So if you get rejected by us, for example, then it's usually very often the reason is because the background in theoretical computer science is not enough. And there are other universities, and in particular the universities of applied sciences, who don't require that much of a background in theoretical computer science, which is why for many of those people who get rejected because of that reason, these universities of applied sciences might be a much better choice than going into our university and then really struggling here and becoming really unhappy and maybe not completing the program. Whereas at the University of Applied Sciences, they might have good chances of passing the program. So it's usually that there are alternatives available. So if you have been rejected by us, that does not mean that other universities might not accept you, but that we at least believe that you would have such a hard time in completing in taking part in our program that you would probably not be able to complete it. So, yeah, right. As you understand it, you choose the modules you are interested in and then make the timetable according to when those classes are held. Yes, exactly. Would this mean everyone's timetable could be different? Yes, definitely. It depends very much on the courses that you pick, and there might also be courses that you can't take in a combination because we have more courses than fit into the timetable. So that might mean that there is a certain combination of 2 courses that you can't take because they are in parallel to each other. We try to minimize that, of course, but we can't guarantee that for all courses. But since most of our courses are offered on a yearly basis, that means if you can't take, there are 2 courses which are in parallel to each other, then you can take the one course in this semester and the other one in 1 year from now. So you don't lose the other course. In that case, you just have to make your priorities, which course you think is kind of more important to you. So you would rather take that now and the other one later, as opposed to the other way around. Yeah, but yes, everyone's timetable will probably be different because hopefully not everybody of you is choosing the same courses, because then some of our courses would be very, very empty, and that we don't want that. Provisions for make-up lectures in theoretical computer science or any other subjects. Would these be conducted before the lecture start or during? No, unfortunately not. We don't have any such courses. So with the name Fourier series, you should not have any problems in theoretical computer science, I would say. You should be very good at mathematics. No, we don't have any courses there, but there's certain things that you can do. The one thing is there are good textbooks available. You can check them out on the internet on theoretical computer science. Those would be books on complexity theory, books on automata theory, finite automata, and things like that. Even algorithms and data structures, for example, Corman lasers and Rivest would be the ultimate recommendation usually there, which is a book which has not just the algorithms in it, but also the analysis of all of those algorithms. And that's a major part that we are teaching our students here. The analysis of algorithms, and most of you have had some, at least to some amount, a course like design and analysis of algorithms, I think it's usually called. So we expect you to have some basic knowledge in that field, because otherwise you would not have been accepted into our master program, hopefully, and or else I have made a mistake and have you accepted you, and although you shouldn't have been accepted. Yeah, try to find good textbooks there, and just look at the Wikipedia, for example, under theoretical computer science, and I think they have a list of good textbooks there. And some of the material might be available online as well, so you might check out online material from other universities, for example. Some of the, as long as, yeah, there might be paid courses, but there might also be free material available for some of those things. And of course, once you are here, you can also, of course, talk to the lecturer, and then it would be more specific. Like, for example, if you're taking a course in, I don't know, say post-quantum cryptography, for example, then you can talk to the lecturer, and then the lecturer would recommend, okay, for this particular lecture, it would be good if you brush up your knowledge in this and that area. Of course, the quantum-specific stuff and the quantum cryptography-specific stuff, that will be taught in the course. But he would probably say, yeah, well, I would expect that you know at least about these and things and so on and so forth. And then he could tell you, and this would be a good textbook that you should take a look at. Many of the textbooks are available in our library, so you don't even have to buy them. And if you still have access to a library at your university where you're maybe still studying or have studied until now, then of course you might check for those textbooks there before you leave home. Does the university provide laptops for academic use during the initial semester, particularly for students with higher system requirements, giving them time to purchase a suitable device later? There are no real requirements in this field. No, we don't provide any laptops. So if you can just use any laptop that you like, because in the courses you usually won't need a computer, and like in the lectures, for example, because you're just slides will be presented and maybe simple things will be done, but usually you don't need a laptop in class. And in those classes where you need a computer, then we will have the tutorials. Those courses will then be in rooms where there are computers, and there are lots of computers around the campus. So we have what we call computer pools, so rooms where lots of computers are available, and there's usually no shortage in computers available. So you can usually go somewhere, find a place, and then sit down there and work there. And in the they are all over the campus, and there are particular ones which have all the software installed, which you might need in your courses. So the computer science specific programs that you might need, and anything where there's special requirements, we will always provide that to you. But usually those will not be laptops, but those will be rather standalone PCs, which are standing outside there, over there. they are. So, yeah. But if you want to have a laptop which you bring into the courses, then you would need to bring your own computer, but you don't need a up-to-date system. Until last year, I worked with a 2014 MacBook. So for 10 years, I've worked with a very, very, very old computer here. So it still worked. Is it possible if one is admitted to computer engineering but want to switch to computer science program at Paderborn? Yes and no. It depends. So basically, if you applied for both, because some people did that, you can apply with UniAssist. You could apply for more than one program, of course. If you applied for both and we rejected you in computer science, in that case, obviously you won't be able to switch, because we rejected you for a reason, not for the reason that you also applied somewhere else, but for the reason that we believe that you don't meet the requirements of computer science of our computer science program at least. So in that case, the answer would probably be no. And otherwise, if we haven't yet seen your documents, in that case, we can't tell you. So in that case, you would need to send your documents to us, and then we would review them, check them, and could then tell you whether it is possible or whether it isn't possible. Yeah. That's basically the short answer. And then you can switch between any semester, so it's not something you need to do right now, but you could also start computer engineering, study it for a semester, and maybe you discover it's fine for you, and that's the program that you really want to study. Or otherwise, then you could switch from computer engineering to computer science in half a year from now, for example. That would also be possible. So you're not stuck with your decision, as long as I said that you meet the requirements of the computer science program, because you won't have any chance to take, like, for example, if you are lacking the knowledge in theoretical computer science from ours, at least we believe that you do, then you wouldn't have any chance to make up for that knowledge, because in computer engineering you wouldn't be able to take theoretical computer science courses, and you would need to go into our bachelor program to take those courses, but you can't go into our bachelor program for those courses because there you would need to be fluent in German. So usually in that case, and we can only accept courses from regular university programs. So if you do a Coursera program, for example, on theoretical computer science, we would not be able to count that. So basically, if you wish to switch, just send us your documents, and then we will check them and can tell you whether a switch is possible. But apart from that, computer engineering is a fine program too. So maybe you don't want to switch. I don't know. I have to see. If you develop an interest in machine learning during your studies, are there any research groups or clubs that I can join to collaborate and enhance my understanding, which could also benefit my thesis? Yes, definitely. There are certain research groups. If you go to our website, cs.uni-paderborn.de, and then you can go to this menu. Everything is hidden behind this small menu in the upper right-hand corner, and then you click on the menu, and then you'll first switch to English, of course, and then you click on the menu, and then you'll find something like research areas or something like that, and then you can choose professors and their research areas. Or research it's called, I think, and then you find professors and their research areas, and there you can browse through who are all of our professors, so you can already see a photo of most of them, for example. And you can also see what their specialties is. And if you go to the websites of the individual research groups, then you will also find the courses which they teach, for example, and also the research projects they're working on, and lots of other information. So just browse through there, and then you will be able to find will be able to find the information you're looking for, I think. Or otherwise, just ask again at some point in time. Sports or other curricular activities you can take part in besides the studies at the universities. Yes, there's two things in our program. One thing is called general studies. And in general studies, you can take basically any course of the university. With one exception, it may not be computer science. So we're forcing you to do something else. And you might take a course in mathematics or electrical engineering, but you can also do a language course, for example, like German language, for example. We already talked about that. You can also try another language if that makes sense to you. You can also take courses in psychology or media sciences or I don't know what, everything. Basically everything you can study at our university, you can take there, and you can also take sports courses there if you like to. But apart from that, there's also, and this is also something we will introduce you to in our welcome days, the final program point of the welcome days will in fact be that we will introduce you to our sports facilities on the campus, and those will not be curricular part of your curriculum, but it's something you can always just do. So there's a whole lot of things that you can do at our university. It's a very, very rich program from typical German sports. I guess there should be some things in there. You can play all kinds of things, like American football, which is not very German typically, but you can play American football. You can also play soccer, of course, or what the English people would call football. But you can also, I believe there's also cricket courses courses, if you can really call them courses, I don't know, but you can play cricket there as well. You can do all kinds of athletics, like long jump and running, and you can play tennis. So there's lots and lots of things available. But those will not count towards your curriculum usually, but this is something you can just do in your spare time. And personally, I would recommend doing that. It's very, very, very good idea to do something different, but there's no pressure on doing anything for good grades or something like that. How examinations help, please elaborate if you can, from applying for them to method of examination or written. Also, please elaborate about the group project that we need to take part in. Yeah, applying for exams is pretty simple. There will be I already said there's some kinds of formalities. Germans are if you didn't know yet, you learn today that Germans are good in formalities. Something to get you need to get used to, and also we are very much on fixed dates and things like that. There's deadlines, and if you come after the deadline, then things won't work out and things like that. So this is something you might need to get used to. So there will be a certain period, like over 4 weeks or so, when you can register for the courses. And basically around the time, usually a week before that period ends, the registration phase for the examination starts. And that is again for another like 4 weeks or so. And in that time slot, you we have this PAL system which also holds the course catalog, and the PAL system does all the administrative stuff for you. So then you go in there, and then you'll need to check check some checkboxes, and then you're registered for everything. And we'll explain all of that in detail to you once you are here. So during the welcome days, and also our mentor will help you if you've later discover that you run into problems, and we'll set up a communication forum where you can contact people. So if you have any questions regarding that, and so on and so forth. And if you encounter at some point in time that you don't know what to do, just, as I said, just ask. That's what we're here for. Either us in the study service or the mentor or whoever. So it's pretty simple. You just need to remember things, and this is something where a good appointment calendar comes into play, because I would recommend putting all the important dates, all the deadlines into your calendar on your desktop or on your smartphone or wherever, and set up notifications so that you can't miss those deadlines, and do things as early as you can. And then because once you are registered, everything is fine, and you can deregister usually until 2 days before the exam takes place. There's some more details to that, but we won't go into all of the details here. In general, that's the rule. So usually it's a good idea to register for things, and then you can there's a long time for you that you have to deregister. If at some point in time you decide, well, I don't want to take the exam now, or maybe never. Whether the exam is oral or written depends very much on the course, and the lecturer will always has the choice. You don't have the choice, but the lecturer has the choice, and he can say, or she can say, in this semester I'd rather have an oral exam, or I'd rather have a written exam. And they will tell you that during the first weeks, like the first 3 weeks of the semester, they are obliged to tell you whether the exam will be oral or written. And in case of oral exams, then you need to make an appointment with them at some point in time, later in the semester, of course. And if it's a written exam, well, yeah, then a date will be set. And those dates will usually be in what we call the semester break. So once lectures end, which was sometime in late July, mid or late July, and then the exams will take part after that. So they are what you might consider the vacation phase. It's not really a vacation because in that phase we will have all the exams. So lectures end on, I don't know, I can check when the lectures will end for the summer semester. Just a second, on 18th of July, and exams will only be after that. Yeah, that's when the exams will be. So, oops, sorry, I'm just losing my overview here. All right, shouldn't play too much with the computer. So that's that part. The project group, or the group project, we call it a project group. This is something you can't take in your first semester, like a seminar. You can't take that in your first semester, because in the first semester you really have to take kind of ordinary courses. And in the second semester, we then recommend taking either a project group or a seminar, or start both, and in particular start the project group in the second semester usually. There we will present all the topics of the project group. So there will be a presentation event where all the people who will be offering a project group in the upcoming semester will present the topics, and then you can choose which one of you is most interesting to you. And then there's a little bit of a complicated process going on, because it might be that many people are interested in just one project group and very few people in another project group, and then there will be kind of a distribution process so that everybody gets a pretty good match with the project group they want to, which is why you don't just choose one project group, but you make a grading. You say, this is the one I like best, the second best, the third best, and so on and so forth. And usually you will get your first or second choice on that list. There's no absolute guarantee for that, but usually you will get your first or second choice. And then the project runs for a full year. And during that year, there will be, this is one of the few exceptions where you will be also be required to be present at least a certain amount of time, because it's a group project and people need to work together, and there need to be meetings with the group. So that means that during that time, for example, if you're taking a project group, you can take some time off. It's basically you're like in a working environment. You might have like 4 weeks of holidays, or can go on vacation, for example, for 4 weeks, but you can't stay away for a longer time than that, for example. So in general, it would not be advisable to, for example, plan to go back home for 3 months when you're taking the project group. In that case, you're almost guaranteed to not be able to complete the project, because other people will be dependent on what you are doing, and you will be required to be there and not do it from somewhere else in the world. So that's very important. And in the group project, yeah, well, you are working on a project, and that may be very, very different things you're doing. Like, for example, a colleague of mine just has a project group running, and they are developing something with VR headsets. They have these new Apple glasses things there. And they are working together with people from our chemistry department, and they are building a virtual chemistry lab, for example. So where people can do virtual experiments, and also augmented reality, so meaning that you work in the real environment, but the glasses then can tell you this is like, for example, this kind of tool or whatever they are doing there. I don't know the details, of course, but and they are working on this virtual chemistry lab and always extending that. And that project will probably run on because they are already in the third iteration, I think, of that project. So the first group implemented the basic stuff of the laboratory. Then the next group implemented some additional stuff. The next group implemented some more additional stuff, and that now, for example, I guess probably the next group will probably work with those Apple glasses, because they only received them like last week, so they haven't worked with those Apple glasses yet. And so I would guess that one of their next project groups will probably do something with augmented reality in a real lab with those virtual glasses. That's one example of things you might do. And then project group is very much self-organized, so the supervisors will always also be there, and they will continue to evaluate your work. But basically the group in itself has to distribute the work, and has to take care that everybody really does their share of work, and that there's nobody just hanging around in the project group and doing nothing at all. Yeah, and that's basically the idea of the project group. And then in the end, of course, we hope to have a kind of a product ready. Product doesn't mean that it can go out to the world, but the closer it gets to that, of course, the better things are usually. Is it possible to transfer to university with a stronger focus on machine learning after the first semester, as this is my area of interest? Additionally, how challenging would this process be? Yes, of course. You simply need to apply at the other university, and everything else is up to them. So this is not something I can comment about, because the other university would then, of course, have to decide whether you meet the requirements for their master program, and also they would then decide what the like, for example, what courses you already took here can be recognized at their university. That is usually possible. So if you complete a course here, and then they might recognize that at the other universities, at the other university, but that's always their decision. So this is not something that I can't comment on, but you would need to find the university where you want to apply to, and then talk to them, ask them, this is my profile, this is what I've done in my bachelor program, this is what I've done in my 1 semester at Paderborn University, I would like to come to you. What do I need to do? So these are questions that you would have to ask the other university. But if you were if it were the other way around, if someone went to another university and then applied to us here, for example, this is exactly what I would do. Then I would say, yeah, please send me all of your complete bachelor program, your degree certificate, basically the same documents that you sent to UniAssist. Please send them to me, and also send me additionally the document, the transcript from whichever university you already studied in Germany. And then I would tell you, yeah, okay, either yes, we can accept you into our program because you meet the requirements, or you don't. We can't accept you, of course. And then we would tell you, if we can accept you, we would tell you which courses can be could be recognized, so that you already have some modules completed. So that would be if someone came to us after 1 semester. So that is perfectly possible. But as I said, you need to contact the other university wherever you want to go to. Is there an IEEE student branch at Paderborn University or active IEEE Computer Society chapter? No, not a IEEE Computer Society chapter. We have the GI chapter. GI is has nothing to do with American soldiers, but it's the Gesellschaft für Informatik, which is the German equivalent of the ACM, there might be someone from the IEEE, but probably not IEEE Computer Society in the electrical engineering department. I'm not aware of that, but for our computer science students, there's only this GI available here, and they, as I said, they're basically the kind of like the German version of the ACM. There's also a German chapter of the ACM, but this is not so popular in Germany, I think. At least not among students. So they're usually rather in this GE, which is also, and we have a student branch of them here at Paderborn University, and they would also welcome international students. It's not just for German students, but international students are also welcome there. What can you do with your semester ticket? It seems too good to be true. Yes, I think it is. The semester ticket, I should be fair enough to say that this is not something you only get at Paderborn University, but which you get at many universities in Germany. The semester ticket is something which is included in those semester fees, as I mentioned, like 350 euros or something like that, that you pay. And the one thing you pay with that is, for example, that you get reduced prices in all all food distributing facilities at the university, which are also run by the Studierendenwerk, the same one who also run the student accommodation. And included is also the semester ticket, and the semester tickets means that you can travel all around Germany without any cost. As long as you're only using local and regional transport. So you won't be able to take any of the high-speed trains, for example, or the long-distance trains. Well, sometimes the other ones are also quite long distance, so at least for Germany. So I know in India, for example, is a much larger country. So what we call long distance is probably short distance for you. But there are these regional trains which run like 300 kilometers from one end to the other, so something like that. And of course, you can switch and go into another regional train from there on and so forth. So you can really travel all around Germany, but those aren't the fastest trains. So if you want to go somewhere fast, if you want to go, for example, to Berlin, to our capital, then from here, and going just with the regional trains, it takes you, of course, much longer than if you would go into one of the long distance trains or the high speed trains, because with a high speed train, you would just ride up to Bielefeld from here, which is about 50 minutes. So it's 50 minutes for the first 40 kilometers, and then you from Bielefeld for the next 400 kilometers or so to Berlin. It just takes you another 2 hours with the high-speed train. But if you go with the regional trains, you're much slower than that. But the cost, on the other hand, so sometimes you also get very good deals on those long distance trains, the high speed trains as well, as long as you book very much in advance. But the advantage of the semester ticket is that you don't have to plan in advance in any way. So you can just hop on the train and then go somewhere because the weather is nice, or because you just feel like it, or you just want to sit on a train or whatever. And it doesn't cost you a dime. So absolutely perfect. And this is also true for all of the local buses, for example. So in all of Paderborn and everywhere in Germany. So once you get to Berlin, for example, you can also use all the subways, the buses, the tram lines, everything of the local trains in Berlin and in every other city in Germany is also for free for you. And what is also included is what we call the culture ticket. And that allows you, only in Paderborn, not in other cities, but in Paderborn, allows you free entry to lots of cultural institutions, like, for example, lots of our museums. And we have a very good computer museum here, which is right next door, just here behind computer museum. We'll also introduce you to the computer museum during the welcome days. And you can visit that for free, for example, no problem at all. There's also other things where there might be limited numbers. Like, for example, we have Paderborn, SC Paderborn, which is our local football club. It's not the highest level of the first Bundesliga, but the second Bundesliga, so the second tier from above. And that's where they are currently playing. And they also have a limited number of tickets available for free for students, but that's very limited and that's very hard to get by, as far as I've heard, at least. So that's limited. So, and those there are quite a few other things where there's only limited numbers of tickets, and then you have to apply for that, and then there's some kind of distribution process, probably a lottery or something like that, where they simply draw, and if you are lucky, you can get in for free, and otherwise you just don't go or have to pay. So that's also included in the semester ticket. Yeah, but traveling in Germany is really pretty good, thanks to the semester ticket now. That's a very, very, very nice thing, I think. Right. Love the way I explain things. Thank you very much. Trying my best to do it. All right. Means of funding in Germany would be a blocked account. When I have to pay for the semester ticket for the second semester, does it need to be paid from the... Oh, I don't know. Please direct that question to the international office. Mr. Thornton, he will know all about these things. Sorry, that I've just been told that I'm good at explaining things. I'm of lack of explanations here. Sorry for that. No, I can't tell you about that. Sorry. No idea how you do that. But Mr. Thornton is the person to ask, and he will be able to answer that question. I guess it might be possible from the blocked account, but I really don't know. All right. So there's one more question coming up. Okay, that's okay if it's okay. Can you guide the best way to reach Paderborn? Yeah, that's a very good question. Uh, the largest international airport in Germany is Frankfurt Airport, and that is probably also the one where you get the most flights, and number of flights will be probably be the most there. And also probably, I'm not quite sure, but are probably the cheapest flights because there's so many carriers going into Frankfurt that they probably will have good will need to have very competitive prices. So I guess Frankfurt would be one choice. Another good choice would probably be Düsseldorf, or Düsseldorf as we call it in German, Düsseldorf. There's also many international flights. Like, for example, I don't know exactly which flight path you would take, but guessing you're from India, or I would guess. And in any case, if you're from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, somewhere in that region, then you would probably you might fly through the Emirates, so either via Abu Dhabi or via Dubai. And at least for Dubai, I know that the Emirates Airways from Dubai, they also fly into Düsseldorf, for example, direct flights Dubai, Düsseldorf, and Abu Dhabi, I'm not sure, but I guess they will, Etihad that would then be, I guess. They should also fly into Düsseldorf, and both of them definitely fly into Frankfurt. But there might be other carriers, of course. I'm no expert in this field. Don't know if there's any direct flights from your region to Germany. And from Frankfurt, you will need to take a train. And there are high-speed trains going from Frankfurt up to Kassel. And in Kassel, you would need to change into a regional train to Paderborn. So if by that time you won't have the semester ticket available at that point in time, I'm afraid. But yeah, so you probably need to pay to pay for the fare in that case. So that and Frankfurt Kassel would take about 2 hours, and then you might need some time to wait for the train to Paderborn, and from Kassel to Paderborn it's another hour. So I would say it takes, including waiting time and everything, probably around 4 hours from Frankfurt to Paderborn Central Station. And from Düsseldorf, I already see here that you're right that a friend suggested taking an ICE train from Düsseldorf, which would take about 2 to 3 hours. That's perfectly fine. Yes, exactly. And there's not only the ICE, there's also a regional train running from Düsseldorf. They're going every half hour, I think, or every hour. I'm not certainly every hour, but the ICE train, I think, on that particular line. Most ICE trains run every hour. And but I'm afraid the ICE train from Düsseldorf to Paderborn is only like twice a day or something like that. It's pretty strange. But there's also a regional train running from Düsseldorf. In fact, not even from Düsseldorf Central, but you can board the train in Düsseldorf Airport. The Frankfurt Airport and Düsseldorf Airport also have their own railway stations. Frankfurt Airport is a little. You will probably have to travel from Frankfurt Airport into Frankfurt Central and then switch to the train to Kassel. So, but in Düsseldorf, you can really board the train directly directly at the airport, and then that regional train runs through to Paderborn, and it doesn't take much longer than the ICE train, in fact. So. It's also it's rather 2 than 3 hours. I think it's less than 2.5 hours that you need from Düsseldorf Airport to Paderborn Central Station. So that is very, very doable. So both of those airports would be fine. There are other airports like Hanover, which is also pretty close and very easy to reach from Paderborn, because there's also a regional train running from Hanover into Paderborn, which also takes around 1.5 hours, I would say, or maybe close to 2 hours, I think. Close to 2 hours, I think. But Hanover is not flown into from that many carriers, I think. There's not too many international. It is an international airport, but there's not so many carriers going there, I think. And finally, there would be Cologne. Cologne would be also an alternative, but again, I think there will be more flights from, for example, from Dubai or Abu Dhabi going into Düsseldorf than into Cologne, probably. But Cologne would also be possible. The travel from Cologne to Paderborn would be, train travel from Cologne to Paderborn would be a little more complicated, because you would have to probably also have to go to Düsseldorf and then switch trains and then take the train from Düsseldorf to here. So that would take even an hour more, I think, because currently there is another train line, but that's currently under repairs. So the quicker line from Cologne to Paderborn is currently not being served. It's an unfortunate situation, but I think Frankfurt or Düsseldorf would be your best bet for flying into Germany. Information on scholarships available that you might be eligible for. There is, in fact, we don't have a very good scholarship system in Germany, which is due to the fact that we don't have these semester fees. As I said, you just have to pay these 350 euros per semester, or roughly 350, as opposed to like $10,000 you would have to pay in a US university, for example. And for that reason, we don't have such an established scholarship system. There are scholarships available, and you can also go through the International Office website. On the finance, there's as I said, there's a link to accommodation, but there's another link also to financing, and there you'll find information also on scholarships. But those scholarships are usually they are kind of how would you say that? Performance-oriented scholarships. So they would usually require you to have very, very, very good grades, because there's only a certain number of scholarships available, and there's high competition there, and there's only and it's, as I said, it's performance-oriented, which means they would have to take a look at your performance so far, and because you have not studied at our university so far, they would take a look at your university back home, and then you would have to have really very, very good grades, which usually means something like, on the German scale, 1.0 or 1.1, maybe 1.2, but that would already be very, very tough, I guess. You would probably not be eligible with that grade. So usually you need to be really excellent. You need to have been on the excellent level at your home university in order to get a scholarship there. But as I said, scholarships are listed on the International Office website, and you can browse through them. And of course, you can apply, but I wouldn't hang my hopes too high on really getting one. So I wouldn't rely on getting a scholarship to be studying here at our university. All right. Do all incoming students get a buddy who'll guide them during their arrival? We don't have a real buddy program in that sense, but we'll have a mentoring. And there will be a student from a higher semester, and she will guide you through all of those questions. So far, this is just one person, and so far that was absolutely sufficient. So she was easily managing all the questions that came up. And if we find that we need someone else, then we would hire another person who can then also give help to you. But so far, it has worked quite fine. So for the time being, at least, we think that with this mentoring, we're quite good to go. And of course, as I said, you can always come to the study service as well, and we are available like basically four times for 4 days a week. So we're not available on Fridays, but we are on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. We're available, and for for 1.5 hours in the morning, 2.5 hours in the afternoon. So you can always come, almost always come by, and of course you can always send us emails. But as I said, there's also the mentor, and she will also be there for you, and there is a room available where you can have meetings with her and everything. So that room is not yet in a good state. So it's in a fine state. So there's furniture in there, and there's it's warm and it's dry and everything, but it's not yet cozy, and we're still working on that. But by the time you arrive, we hopefully have a nice room there, also with some green plants in there, and some tables where you can sit around and have a chat and things like that. So that's also, in a way, we're trying to establish a kind of a meeting point there, so that whenever you have a question, even if it's just a small question, just pop by, and then maybe you'll find someone to talk to, and there should be students available from higher semesters, for example, who you can talk to, and it should be just an open and communicative atmosphere, we hope, at least. That's what we are trying to establish there. It doesn't yet exist, as I said, because we only just have the empty room with some furniture in there, but should be good to go once you are here. That's a good idea. Bug me again when you have more questions next time. Bis bald. That's I can see the German is already kicking in here. Very nice. Yeah, I think we'll call it a day for today. As I said, there will be another live stream here on YouTube, which will then be on just checking my calendar here, on the 20th of February. That will be the final live stream for this semester, because, as I said, semester is not just while this courses last. Courses end on the 31st of January for this semester, but the semester also runs on and until 31st of March. But that will then, in 4 weeks from now, 20th of February, that will be the last live stream here on YouTube before you arrive here, if you have decided to come to us in April. And I hope that many of you will have managed to arrange, have their travel arrangement. As I wrote in the email, 2nd and 3rd of April, that will be the 2 days when we have the welcome days, and there we'll try to answer more of your questions, hopefully, and we'll give all the information to you that you need then to really get started here. And as I said, we will always be available for you then as well. All right. Oh, asking my question on whether you recommend certain combinations of courses, focus areas with respect to job or research prospects was very eager to know. Not really, because basically we have these 5 focus areas, and all of those focus areas are designed in a way that they all have their specific profiles, which are all in demand. So the 5 focus areas we have, on the one hand, that's software engineering. Okay, obviously software engineering still is a topic. So we still need software, and software needs to be programmed. And even if we have artificial intelligence available for us for the next couple of years, I would even say for the next decades, software programmers and software engineers, it's not just about programming. Software engineering is more than just programming. Will be in demand. So absolutely, I'm absolutely certain there. And this is also what people tell me. We just the day before yesterday. No, yesterday it was. I had a meeting with some people from some companies, and they also said software engineering is still a hot topic. So they are still looking for good people in this field. Then we have IT security, general security. just have a look at any media pages, media websites, or any newspaper or whatever. Every day you can read about security problems, and we have from security breaches to denial of services, service attacks to whatever. And we need to build software securely from the ground up. And this is why, for example, the areas are not that strictly separated from each other, but they are intertwined, because software, we also do secure software engineering, for example, and you can take courses especially on that, how to design software from the ground up that it is really secure. Then we have data science and artificial intelligence. Of course, two hot topics again. Especially artificial intelligence, but also data science, so working with large sets of data and finding algorithms, how to work with them is very, very important. Then we have computer and communication networks, which is on the hardware side, and also there's, for example, here at Paderborn University, we have a high-performance computing center. It's not one of the fastest computers in the world, but it is one of the fastest computers in Europe, in fact. And it's not the highest level tier in Europe, but it's on the second high level tier in Europe. They are, while you are here, they will probably get an even newer supercomputer over there. And so there's lots of high performance computing activities going on here. And there's also other fields, of course, like embedded systems and things like that, which are also, again, also again, another topic which is very, very much in demand. And finally, and that might at first sound like an area which is does not have that much demand, and it was originally called algorithm design, but we have now clarified that, and now it's called classical and quantum algorithm design, because classical algorithm design, there we are in the classical world of what we've done for many years, and you might argue that there's not that much happening in that field, although I'm not so sure about that. But we have a very broad focus. It's something like shouldn't really exist, a broad focus, right? We have quite a few people who focus on quantum algorithms, and this, of course, is again another very, very current, very hot topic here. And we have a very good, it's also an interdisciplinary project. Like we have, for example, we have very good people here from physics. One of the best German physics professors is teaching here at Paderborn University, and she's just getting her own new research building. It's a complete building, which is basically just for her and her research group. And it's quite a huge building, and they are doing research on quantum physics, and the quantum computing people are working together with the people from quantum physics. So that's also a very, very interesting and topic where lots of dynamics is happening right now. We'll have to see what happens there. I must admit I don't have any clue about what quantum computing is about, but it seems to be a very, very hot topic. So once again, in particular, I guess quantum computing is probably the one of those areas that I mentioned, which probably is the most research-oriented. And the other areas is also, of course, you can do you can work in companies, and you can also do research there. Whereas the quantum algorithm design, I think, which is also true, by the way, for the artificial intelligence, which like probably 3 years ago, everybody would have said that's just for research and not for real-world applications. But obviously, everything has shifted there. So sometimes things get very, very change very, very quickly. And I guess the same is true for quantum computing. It might well be that it stays a research area, and there's lots of research work going on in that field. So that is really mainly a research prospect, I would say, for the time being at least. But it might well be that in 2 or 3 years' time from now, suddenly quantum computing is all over the world, and it has real-world applications. I don't know. I'm no expert in that field. For the time being, as I said, I would judge it's mainly research. In contrast to the other focus areas that we have, which are research and real-world oriented, I think the quantum computing for the time being is just research oriented. But as I said, that might change very, very soon, or it might not. I don't know. I have to ask my this thing of glass, this Palantir, which I have to look into, and then it maybe tells me something. Yeah. So I guess, and by the way, and the good thing is, when you start studying here, this is something many people have a misconception about, and maybe that's not so clear from the way we state things on our websites and everywhere. When you start studying here with us, you don't have to decide in which area you want to go to. So you don't have to decide, yeah, I'm going to Paderborn University and doing computer science, and I will do and I will choose as focus area this and that. You don't have to do that. So that's why I say, just pick courses that sound interesting to you in your first semester, and then try to orient yourself, and then you find out, well, this sounds interesting to me, or this seems interesting to me. This is maybe not so interesting to me. And then you'll find your way, and then you'll somewhat meander towards some focus area. And you don't have to decide for a focus area. In fact, you don't have to decide at all for a focus area. You can also be a non-specialist, but a person with very, very broad knowledge across all of those fields, or you might want to specialize in one of those areas. But you don't have to decide that beforehand. You can decide that while on the go. And this is also one of the differences that sets Paderborn, our computer science program here at Paderborn University, apart from many other programs where you go to study software engineering, or you go to study artificial intelligence or something like that. And here we have decided for a different approach. We leave it very, very open, and we leave it up to you, and you can decide. You basically build your own master program, if you will. That's, I think, the most important difference, the most important distinguishing factor from other master programs in German universities. Frequency of lectures and weekend off. Yes, the weekend is off. Saturday and Sunday is off, and of course you are allowed to work. But and university is open, in fact. So most buildings, there are a couple of buildings which you can't get into on the weekends, but most of the buildings you can get into 24/7. So we don't want to stop you from working and learning. So. This is why I can still be here. We have already 7:45, and most of my colleagues, and even the light on the hallways is already turned off. But I'm still here, and I could stay here all night if I wanted to. And even if I just came now, and I would still be able to get into the building, so I don't have to stay for the complete time. But even if I came back at, for some reason I had a great idea at 2 a.m. in the mornings, I would still be able to get into my office, and so would you if you had a brilliant idea and think I need to go to the university now. Then, as I said, to most of the buildings you can go even in the middle of the night, even on a Saturday night, if you don't have anything else to do on a Saturday night. So your own Saturday night fever in the university in that case. Lectures will usually be, most of our lectures are like 3 hours of lectures and 2 hours of tutorials per week, or 2 hours of lectures and 3 hours of tutorials. It depends. Those are the two main variations that we have. And if it's 3 hours of lectures, then sometimes those will be in one block. So you have one day where you have the 3 hours of lecture, and another day where the 2 hours of tutorials will be. Or sometimes the lecture is split, and you have like two hours or 1.5 hours on one day, and 1.5 hours on another day, and the 2 hours of lectures of tutorials will then probably be on one of those 2 days as well, or maybe on a completely separate day. But that's usually so. You usually have, for each course, you have 3 hours of lecture, 3 hours of lectures and 2 hours of tutorials, or the other way around, per week. That is, and as I said, weekends are off. In fact, yes. All right, yeah, it was great to have so many questions. I'm always happy, because then I don't have to just talk about things that I think people might find interesting. So I'm always very, very happy if there are so many good questions out there. And I know that many of you who are right now planning to come to Paderborn, planning to start a new adventure, that of course there will be many questions that you have, which is perfectly fine, perfectly normal, I think. And of course it's a kind of a time of uncertainty, probably, because you don't really know what to expect, and we can only give you so much of an idea of what to expect, and so. I also hope that you won't find it as this uncertainty as some kind of a burden on you, but rather find it see it as an opportunity, because I think in this kind of new phase in your life, it will probably be not just because you're starting the master program. I think it might also be something else. But if you were doing it at the same university where you did your bachelor, you would probably not find it that much of a new phase. But it would just be the continuation of something that you did before, but going to a different university, and in particular going into a different, kind of different world, probably. At least culture is certainly very different in Germany than it is in your home country, at least in most cases, because I know that many of you are from faraway countries, and but I hope that this is also good, that you see it as an opportunity. It will be a challenge, and not everything will be easy. But keep in mind that we are there to support you, mainly, of course, in the lecturers when there are problems, and the tutors of the tutorials, the lecturers of the tutorials, they will be there for you if you have questions regarding the specific course, where I can't help you. As I said, if you have questions on quantum computing, I have no idea about that stuff, so I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about that. So you have to ask them. If it's organizational stuff around everything around the computer science program, then we at the study service are the people to contact, or in any other case, and then we would direct you forward if we can't answer your questions, as I already said. And then there's the international office, and so there's lots of people who will be trying to support you in your journey, which you will start once coming to Germany, once coming to Paderborn. I hope it was helpful for you. There's one more question with International Economics and Management Department. You wouldn't need to check at the university website with the economics department. There should be addresses listed there. If you can't find it, just send me an email and I'll try to find it for you. But you should be able to find it, like if you go to Paderborn University, and then you should find something like the faculties, and there should be the Faculty of Economics, and there you should find all the information on the Economics and Management Department, I hope. I don't know if they are also available on YouTube or things like that, but at least on their website they should have all the information and contact information in particular. And I hope you please just try to find it. And if you can't, just send me an email, and then I'll try to find out. All right. But speaking of links, below this video there's quite a few links with lots of information. For my email, also please just check the first link below this video, which is the study service. And on the study service website, you'll see the email address of the study service. And then the best idea is to send to the study service address, not to my personal address, but to the study service address, because then our whole team, as I said, the study service is not just me. We're 4 people in the study service, and everybody of us is answering the questions that are going to that address, and then you usually get your answer quicker than if only I'm reading it, because I might not be available for some reason, because I've got teaching obligations, or I'm on vacation or something like that. So it's usually the best idea. So yeah, just as I said, for the email, please check the first link below this video, and there the email address is given, and then you can find it there. Okay. All right. Yeah. You're welcome. Happy to hope that this was a little bit helpful. As I said, tune back in on 20th of February, and if there's any questions in the meantime, don't hesitate to contact us at the study service email address, as I said, given below this video on in the first link to the study service website. And just keep your questions coming. And apart from that, if you didn't yet receive the official notification, I said that it might take some time, so please wait for the letter from the international office, that you receive that, and with that you can then start all the other processes like getting your visa and then probably do your travel arrangements and planning. And as I said, try to be here on the 1st of April, ideally, because then on the 2nd of April, we will start at early in the mornings, 9 or 10, I don't know exactly at what time, but early in the mornings we'll start. And it would be good if you are there by that time, because lots of useful and helpful information will be given to you there. And then everything, all of your questions will hopefully be answered. All right. So that's it for tonight. Someone wrote bis bald, and that's exactly what I would like to say now to you. Bis bald. See you sometime soon, hopefully at the latest in April. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a good trip to Germany and to Paderborn once you make your way through the airports and with the trains, which will hopefully be running then. All right. See you and goodbye. And for me, it's good night. For you, it might be a good day, or is it already a good morning? It depends on where you are in the world. All right. Anyways, goodbye. See you sometime soon. Bye-bye.